People have always hankered after the good old days. With age, life somehow seems to get worse. People turn to reminiscing about their youth and the good times back in the day. Sonny, when I was your age, the colors were richer, first impressions more vivid, dreams attainable, music was better, the climate more favorable, people were more friendlier, the meat was more tender, parties were crazier, and the watermelon was crispier, and don't get me started on my health. Life was full of hope, pleasure, and joy. Once a certain number of years have passed, people begin to sense that events do not make them as happy as they did before. Picnics, parties, concerts, films, celebrations, dates, warm seawater. From an objective point of view, all these things are still pretty much the same quality as they were before. Parties are still fun, films are still interesting, and seawater still feels warm. Nonetheless, life is not the same as it used to be. The colors have faded, our responses have dulled, and enthusiasm has waned. Why is it that everything is so much more wonderful when we're younger? Can it really be that our perception of things loses its sharpness as we grow older? We do not lose the ability to laugh, cry, perceive taste and color, distinguish truth from deceit, or differentiate between good and bad just because we're a little older. So, could the world gradually be going downhill? No, the world is not deteriorating. Things only seem to be getting worse to certain people. What actually happens is that a person shifts to a negative lifeline that runs in parallel with former lifelines where everything is just as fine now as it was before the individual left them behind. By expressing dissatisfaction, a person attunes themselves to lifelines that draw them in where things genuinely are worse than they were before. According to the principle of transurfing, the alternatives space has everything for everybody. In one sector, the colors of life have become gray, while in another, life remains as bright and cheery as it always was. A person who emanates negative thought energy ends up drawn into a sector with a different type of scenery, but the world remains the same for everyone else. This is true not only in extreme cases in which someone has become an invalid, lost their home, their loved ones, or become an alcoholic and ruin their life. In most cases, during the course of their life, a person regularly slides onto lifelines where the colors of the scenery are duller than they were in the previous lifeline. When this happens, a person begins to reminisce how vivid and fresh everything was years ago. In childhood, life is met with curiosity, optimism, and hope. However, with life's challenges and failures, people often begin to complain and focus on their struggles. This discontentment leads them to radiate negative energy, aligning them with lifelines that match this negativity, pulling them further from success. As people age, they tend to radiate more negative energy due to life's hardships, which shifts them onto lifelines that correspond with their discontent. Life is less satisfactory the worse you think it to be. Children rarely contemplate whether their childhood is good or not. As children, we take everything for granted. We have only just begun discovering the world and have not yet acquired the habit of criticism. The greatest insult we experience as children is not being bought a much-wanted toy. It is only as we get a little older that we start to resent the world around us for not fulfilling our desires. The more we complain, the worse things are as a result. Everyone who has survived their youth and reached a mature age will say that a lot of things were better when they were younger. This is the paradox. You come up against circumstances that disappoint you, and so you express your dissatisfaction, which then aggravates the situation even more. Your discontent comes back to you like a triple force boomerang. Firstly, the excess potential created by your discontent turns balanced forces against you. Secondly, your discontent serves as a channel through which a pendulum being can draw on your energy. And thirdly, radiating negative energy, you shift onto lifelines of a corresponding vibration. If the world were the same for everyone, after several dozen generations, life would have become a nightmare for everybody. So, how should we understand the paradoxical statement that the world is not the same for everyone? We all live in the same world comprised of the material realization of alternative lifelines, and yet every individual experiences a different possible alternative. One person looks at the world from the window of their luxurious car, while another peeks at it from inside a trash container. One person enjoys the party, while another is consumed in thought about their problems. One sees a group of happy youths, another a gang of hooligans. They are all looking at the same things, but the images they perceive differ as black and white film differs from color. The script, role, and the scenery differ in different manifestations of reality. The difference in scenery is harder to track. Every individual is attuned to their own sector in the alternatives space, and so everyone lives in their own personal world. All these worlds exist in layers that exist one on top of the other, forming what we understand to be the space we live in. It might be difficult to imagine, but no one layer can be separated from another. Every individual creates their own reality, and that reality intersects and interacts with the rest of the world around us. Throughout their lifetime, a person shifts their energy from one vibration in the alt space to another, transforming the layer of their personal world. The more often they express discontent and radiate negative energy, the more they reinforce the downward trend in the quality of their life. The transurfing technique can help return to a lifeline that is brimming with color, success, and hope. But first, it would be useful to understand how a person can end up shifting to a lifeline where they would face the question, so, how exactly did my life end up like this?